Welcome everyone to this video session, which is part of the ISO internal auditor training. This training is brought by 3A Infotech for its customers and stakeholders. In this video, we are going to talk about the clauses of ISO 9000-2015 standard from an internal auditor point of view. And like mentioned earlier, ISO 9000 is the foundation standard. Whichever standard the organization is implementing, or we may be assisting them or auditing them to achieve that. Um, we need to be the organization needs to be very strong in ISO 9001 2015, and internal auditors need to ensure that that happens through rigorous audits. So for that we need to internalize ISO 9001 2015 into our in building our auditor capabilities. In the earlier video, I had mentioned that plan, do, check, act PDCA cycle is one of the core foundations of the whole ISO system. So under plan, do, check, act, see, the entire ISO standard is organized around this PDCA framework. Most standards in ISO, they are all organized as clauses. They are organized as clauses, and the clauses typically begin from clause number 4 onwards. So in ISO 9001 2015, the first clause number 4, 5, and 6 fall under the planning segment. Clause number 7 and 8 form under the do or execution segment. Clause number 9 is about performance evaluation, and clause number 10 is on the act segment. So this way the whole standard is designed around the PDCA. So let us look at each of these standards, because we have to evaluate whether the organization complies with all the requirements of ISO 9000 and 2015, even if the audit is for some other management system. We saw in the earlier slide that the core clauses of ISO 9000 start from clause number 4. But just for the record, in the slide you can take a look at what is clause number 1, 2, and 3. It's more for reference, and there's not much of an actionable for us. But clause number 4 talks about the scope of the QMS standard. Scope. Clause number 2 talks about the normative references used in the standard, and clause number 3 talks about the terms and definitions. So we need to start working on the standard from clause number 4 onwards. What is clause number 4, and what are its subclauses? So clause number 4 has 4 subclauses. Under this clause, the organization is supposed um, uh, to define the organization. I mean, the process approach. We talked about the process approach. The organization is supposed to articulate the process approach, describing the organization and its context. That needs to be done under clause number 4.1. Under 4.2, organization has to document the needs and expectations of its stakeholders, interested parties, both internal and external. And under clause number 3, uh, detail out the entire, the processes and the interconnection between the processes. And under clause number 4.4, you have to define the scope of the QMS. The scope can be either it could be the complete organization, maybe the organization and its subsidiaries or affiliate companies, or it could even be smaller. It can be for a specific department, maybe just the data center or the IT department or the export division. So like that, the scope can be either organization wide, or it can be part of the organization, or it will be part of the group also. Clause number 5 in ISO 9000 is places emphasis on leadership. Because leadership is the orchestrator of everything in the organization. So ISO 9000 explicitly tells what is the baseline expected from leadership. So under clause number 5.1, leadership and commitment. So the commitment of the top management should be very clear, and it should be visible under the ISO 9001 system. Next, 5.2, the organization needs to define and adopt a quality policy, and it should be approved and communicated across the organization. So everybody needs to know what the quality policy is, and they should adhere to that. So that is expected under clause number 5.2. And under clause number 5.3, top management needs to outline the roles, responsibilities, uh, the org structure of who all will be involved in operating all the processes defined under the organization. So the authorities' responsibilities, roles, responsibilities have to be defined under clause number 5.3. Clause number 6 is part of the QMS planning under the PDCA plan segment. So under this clause, the first one is the organization has to do a systematic assessment of the opportunities and the risks that face the organization. So ISO requires the organization to do a proper risk assessment and like a SWOT analysis, strength, weakness, opportunity, threats, document it and build the strategy or based on that assessment. Next, under clause number 6.2, the organization should define the quality objectives and how it's planning to achieve them. So when we say quality objectives, it also it's almost corresponds to the corporate objectives of the organization. And next, under clause number 6.3, it should document that as and when changes are needed, how will the changes be carried out and implemented. So these three are are part of clause number 6. Next, we move to clause number 7. To execute the plan, to implement the QMS system, resources are needed, and leadership is expected to make available suitable resources to implement the QMS, because the QMS once decided and approved, it should not fail for or get delayed or diluted because of shortage of resources. So it is the responsibility of top management to make available suitable resources for implementing the QMS. And when we say QMS, it becomes like uh, implementing the whole corporate strategy and the corporate plan. So what are the subclasses that are needed under this clause? So clause number 1 is 7.1, resources. Resources are could be so the organization needs to assess and document what are the resources that are needed, and it has to be explicitly spelled out. Could be uh, material resources, infrastructure, working capital, all that. Okay. Under clause number 7.1. So clause number 7.2, competence. Competence has to be is required, and what are the competencies required at the different levels. Uh, Competence means the the personal capabilities, skills, awareness, commitment, all that is needed at individuals and a set of individuals to implement it, and this has to be defined under clause number 7.2. Next, clause number 7.3, to implement the corporate strategy and implement the QMS, it has to be a very supportive environment where everyone is aligned. So that can happen only if awareness is there and awareness is spread. So under ISO 9000, management needs to strengthen awareness by constant communication and messaging, posters, workshops, all that need to be done under 7.3 awareness. So 7.4 communication is an extension of this. Okay, so constant communication both at the top level and at a more detailed level is to be done under clause number 7.4. And that's clause number 7.5 is about documented information. Now this goes beyond awareness when it gets into action. So if the QMS and the corporate strategies have to be implemented, all the processes have to be executed in perfect synchrony by people at all levels. And therefore we need a very documented system. So all the documentation could be appropriate to the size of the organization. If it's a very small organization, maybe it could have a very light documentation system. But if it's a large organization, it may have so many processes, sub processes, multi levels, like I mentioned in an earlier video, at a procedure level, work instruction level. So there will be a suitable set of documented information to implement the QMS. And under this clause, you have the ISO needs you to spell out how this documented information will be created and maintained, how will it be updated, and how will be, because what people are going to follow needs to have one single version and a very correct and updated version. So this whole documentation set has to be adequately controlled. The documents and the record formats have to be controlled so that people should not be using outdated documents or outdated record formats. These are spelled out under clause number 7.5.3. So these are the main clauses under clause number 7. Next, moving to clause number 8. This clause number 8 is the core operation execution. So this clause covers the all the um, um, uh, all parts of the value chain. So it covers one by one. Uh, if it's a manufacturing, production planning, control, those come under clause number 8.5. Okay, and before you manufacture, maybe this company may be involved in designing or developing their own products. So if they are designing, developing their own products, then clause number 8.3 applies, which talks about how the design and development activity needs to be handled. If it's not having design and development, it's doing contract manufacturing, it could probably seek an exemption under clause number 8.3. Uh, Now, clause number 8.4 uh, is when the organization uses inputs from outside. Maybe the customer itself is giving certain pieces and asking this organization to work on it. So inputs are coming from outside, and those need to be controlled if we have to achieve the desired objectives. Or this organization gives subcontract to other people, and so all that will be coming under clause number 8. And before that, um, clause number 8.2 is where we need to have a very clear understanding of what is required by the customer. So if it's dealing with retail customers, um, you need suitable processes to understand the true needs of the market and work accordingly. Like in many startups, there's a there's a term called product market fit. Why it comes is many startups are working on solutions which don't fit with the market's needs or the market's priorities. So then the organization loses out on product market fit. Now, to avoid that, this clause number 8.2 is about properly understanding the clause number, understanding the needs of the market and the addressable market. So that way, clause number 8.2, 3, 4, and 5 talk about how to assess the need and how to produce it and make it available. Next, clause number 8.6 is about how at the time of release. So the releasing, things like quality control, how, so that the packaging, the product once it goes out of the control of the organization, it should be used by the customer as per the intended use. So 8.6 is about that, and 8.7 is when we discover or identify non-conforming outputs, how to control them, how to handle them. That comes under 8.7. So in total, clause number 8, with 7 subclauses, takes care of the end-to-end delivery, the operation of the company's core processes. Then when we under the PDCA cycle, we talked about planning, then doing PD. Now we move to C. C is checking. So checking comes under clause number 9, which is about evaluation. Now evaluation is mandated under ISO 9000 in a three-pronged manner under the three clauses. The first one is monitoring, measurement, analysis, and evaluation. This has to be done in a 360-degree way. The products, processes, all have to be monitored, measured from customer satisfaction point of view, and whether the intended objectives are being achieved. So that is one view of how to evaluate the whole performance. The second way to evaluate it is through internal audits, uh, which is the prime role, I mean, which we are talking about for auditors. So audits have to be done compulsorily. So under this clause, the organization has to outline how will it get the internal audits done? What will be the periodicity? What will be the level, the rigor at which it will be done? So this internal audit has to be done compulsorily as per the specifications of the standard. And from internal audit, we move to management review. This ties in with the leadership clause. So one of the duties of top management is to conduct systematic management reviews on a periodic basis, preferably, I mean, mostly it will be on a quarterly basis. So the management review has to be done in a structured way. The standard talks about what are all the key points that needs to be discussed and reviewed, and so those come under the management review inputs under clause number 9.3.2. And after the review, the standard requires the top management to document and spell out what are the outputs of the review under clause number 9.3.3. So this monitoring, measurement, internal audit, and management review together will give a good evaluation of how the system is working, and so that will take care of the third segment of PDCA, check. And with that we move to the next last segment, which is act. Under the PDCA cycle, act. We come to the last segment. This comes under clause number 10. So when we do the evaluations, the organization does the evaluation, the monitoring, measurement, internal audits, management review, there will be possibly identification of many non-conformities could be at a product level or intermediate level, which is recurring, which will be discovered through monitoring and measurement, or there can be process level variations or non-conformities in certain processes which internal audit has identified. Internal audit has alerted the process owner, and so next those non-conformities have to be fixed through corrective action. So that is under clause number 10.2. The organization must compulsorily document the non-conformity and initiate and complete the corrective action. And under clause number 3, continuous improvement is must. So the continual improvement through preventive actions, and could be also from proactive decisions which the management may take, strategic decisions under the management review. So those will also help the company to move to the next level and improve the operations. So together these clause number 10.1, 2 and 3 will constitute the improvement. This comes under the improvement clause, and this will meet the last segment of the PDCA Act. Okay, so in this way we find that ISO clauses 4 to 10 takes care of the entire value chain also, and it takes care of the PDCA cycle. So as auditors of any system, the internal auditors need to internalize ISO 9000 standard thoroughly and get it implemented or support the implementation in letter and spirit, because this is the foundation standard. If any weakness in this standard will undermine the other standards, even if those are done in a better way, weaknesses in this standard cannot be tolerated, and those are to be brought to the notice of the organization through internal audits. Thank you.